Hello, everyone, all around the world. I'm Jeff Teague with Fred Anderson Toyota in Raleigh, North Carolina. This is Ali. He's our Toyota Master Diagnostic Technician. What does that mean? He knows a lot about Toyota cars, trucks, and SUVs, and he's here to help. We've got some of your questions compiled here. Shall we get right into it?
Let's jump in it.
All right, first question. Let's see how much you know. This is Stump the Technician. What are the first mechanical components that most commonly need replacing as you get up in miles? And the viewer did not necessarily say if you mean 100,000 miles or 80,000 or 120. Let's see where we can go with that. So
Okay.
what kind of things start to go?
It depends how you drive the car, where you drive the car. It depends if it's a hybrid or not.
Drive it like
there
a
are
stole
different components in a hybrid than there are in the normal other engines. As a general rule, the things that normally go out are serviceable parts like tires, like brakes, they wear.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen water pumps go out. When a water pump goes out, you hear a noise, you hear a rattle. Sometimes you don't hear that, you just leak coolant. And if you don't bring your car enough to have it serviced by any mechanic, and you forget to check them yourself, you could run out of coolant. But as a general rule, on a normal car, water pump, I've seen them a lot. I've seen alternators go out 150, 200,000 miles. Batteries, my rule for my children and my family is every 3 years, disregard if the battery is good or bad. When a battery goes out, it does not give you a 2 weeks notice. It just goes out.
So, there's no indicator saying it's getting low.
You come in
It's
from
not
a
gonna
shopping trip at the mall, you get in the car, and
Oh my gosh.
your day is ruined.
There is no worse feeling in the world when you're confidently going to the next place. Oh, that's horrible. I've
When
been
you
there.
bring your car in for service, we do check batteries.
Mm-hmm.
However, us having checked batteries doesn't guarantee that battery won't go back 2 days later. On hybrid vehicles, over 150,000, 200,000 miles, I've seen, not all of them, hybrid battery goes out and has to be replaced. They are so reliable that changing the battery is absolutely financially recommended.
Mm-hmm.
You put that in the car and it'll go another 200,000 miles. Other things that can go out, I don't know if they're mechanical or not. Shocks and struts can go out. If you're going on a dirt road long enough, one of your headlights may blow because they shake too much. Belts that can fray,
Mm-hmm.
they don't normally get bad enough to break. If a belt goes bad, you hear it squealing. It gives you a long 2 weeks notice.
See,
to
that
tell
gives
you-
you notice, yeah.
Yes, says, hey, replace me or you're going to be left on
It's a
the side
horrible
of the
sound,
road.
too.
We also have some cars, when I say this, it sounds like maybe they don't last, but they last forever. You're saying which one go out, what are common, is sometime underneath the car, oil leaks. What makes the car turn is the rack and pinion. We see the boots leak out of them. If you bring the car for service at any place with a real mechanic to look at it, they can check these and recommend them to you before you need emergency help.
Okay, excellent. All right, so this person plans to store their 21 Camry V6 in the wintertime. Does the 6-month oil change rule apply even when it's not driving in winter? It will not be a heated garage if that matters. So normally you're supposed to change every 6 months. What do you do now? What if you're not going to be using it? And it's in their case, they're saying
Yes.
they might be gone for 3, 4, 5 months.
I don't recommend change. It depends who you ask, because when it's written in bold black and white, they say every 6 months. I don't necessarily recommend it. I don't think nothing bad's going to happen to your oil. But we did this, I think it was this person's brother or sister that wrote the same thing on a couple of shows ago.
Yeah.
The most important things, and I'm going to keep it only to 2 because we covered it on another show, was make sure that the battery is disconnected. If the car is left on a normal ambient air, like no heating, no cooling, good idea, take the battery out of the car, leave it in a nice warm area. Also leave your tires overpressured. We covered this in the other show again, that
We did.
you should give it about 40 psi on it. That way the flat area of the tire does not get memory in the rubber. And the first time you come to 60 miles per hour, after the 6 months you lift the car, for your car to have a vibration because you have a flat area on the tire.
Okay. And if somebody's going to leave it for, say, like 3 weeks to a month, that's not what you're talking about, or are you? Or are you talking about a longer, like 3 months, 4 months?
The
6
longer
months?
it is, 3 weeks to a month is still a decent amount of time. Also, one thing is, I've seen this in cars that are left outside for a long time. You need to watch out that your car is parked in an area that there is not too many rodents in it, squirrels, rats.
I saw somebody bring in a car, and it was, you opened up the hood, it was covered in droppings and like nesting materials. They're like, what happened in here?
It can be super expensive. They like to chew on copper wires and insulation. And that can be really expensive and really fast. So if you're parking your car outside for 5 or 6 months, make sure there's not a whole bunch of wildlife and trees and bushes and things like that around. Because if it is, there's a good chance you're going to end up with rodent damage.
And if you're collecting acorns and things like that, you probably don't want to store them underneath your car hood just for safekeeping.
No, keep them in a nice bag and secure.
Okay.
In a fridge.
Okay, perfect. They're like, oh, look at all these nuts. This is great. All right, this one here, I'm interested in a follow-up question on this one. How often should I update my software in my Corolla? Can I do that at a service visit? And my follow-up question is, when you come in for a routine service visit, it doesn't matter if it's a Corolla or a Highlander or a Tacoma or a 4Runner, is there a request that you can give your service advisor that you want to have to check for any available updates?
Yes.
You just generically blanket statement that? I want to see what's new? Or,
Well-
or no? You're like,
Yeah,
don't say
you
that,
can-
Jeff.
No. It's a good question, but it's a little bit of a caveat to it. Is there are updates that are specific for specific issues, like if a valve malfunction in a car, you apply. This called a technical service bulletin. We call it TSPs. Says if this car does this, then you do that, and if your car never has done that, and you're not liable to have the issue, not needed to do. How often you need to do it? We always check your car for most important one of those, which is recalls. When your car comes in, it's job of the service advisors, and most of them do it right, that when you come in, they punch your VIN in, they say, by the way, we have a recall, and that recall involves an update. Then we automatically will update your car. If you come in with the issue, I won't explain what the EGR is, but we had a Prius with the EGR issue. That's a part that's on the car, and not going into detail on it, that they said you replace the EGR and you update the computer for it. But if you don't have that specific code and you don't have that specific issue, we don't recommend you do it. Also, the car is full of computer, and every one of those computers sometimes requires an update. For example, the radios. They have particular behaviors that cause the radio to be not functioning properly, screens freezing, if you have navigation malfunction. It doesn't hurt for you to bring your car in
Right.
and ask the advisor to check it for any audio, radio updates. Even if it hasn't happened to you, they're covered for only 36,000 miles or 3 years. And once you pass that, we can still update it, but you're going to have to pay for it. So before you hit 36,000 miles, every time you bring your car in, tell them to check your radio for an update, because it has the shortest period for updating. Every computer stuff is usually for 80,000 miles. A lot of the other stuff is covered for 60,000 miles.
Okay. And what about an older vehicle that would have a map card? Toyota comes out with a new update yearly on that, or they did?
We have stopped some of those. If we still have it and you have a SD card, you could change it yourself. I normally don't charge for them. A lot of the mechanics normally don't charge for them, but if they charge half an hour, something like that, it's not too unreasonable. Normally, when you look at the radio, on a passenger side and on the bottom of the radio, there is a little thing that spells out SD. It has a cover on it. You can pull the cover out. It's a little plastic cover, and you can just barely see the SD card. You push it in, it pops out, and you can put the new stuff on it. When you're doing this, if you're gonna do it yourself, make sure you have your radio's faceplate. It's a little number, usually on upper portion of the radio. Go to the parts department, give them that number, the year and model of your car, and if it's only a SD card, all other ones are super difficult to do. Technicians hate to do it. When you bring them in, it takes an hour and a half, 2 hours to do. That we have to jump through a whole bunch of hoops to do them. And if you want to do it that way, you need to have a technician do it. If you have only the SD card, like you were asking, you could do it yourselves.
But you're a technician. You're saying there's some certain jobs that you don't prefer to do? How dare you?
There are certain jobs for any profession that folks are not too happy to do.
Absolutely. All right, let's go buy a van. I'm looking to buy a new Toyota van with a hybrid system, probably a Sienna, I'm guessing. I'm concerned about the reliability. Is there anything I should be concerned about?
That's sort of a tricky question because
so this would be a 21 and 22 Sienna.
Yeah, and I think all we have is hybrid on those, isn't it?
It's all hybrid now, starting
Okay.
with 2021. So
Since it's brand new, it would be wrong of me to tell you the longevity on it is good. So far, they're doing fantastic in 2022. Having said that, we're using the system that the Sienna uses on a lot of our vehicles, hybrid Highlanders with a four-wheel drive, have a rear electric motor that drives them. They have some RAV4s that do this. Those are the RAV4s that someone else was asking about the gas tank on it. And they're doing great. The vehicles that have had this general setup on it are doing great. But I hate to tell you that the 2022 has a longevity where I cannot read into the future what else may happen to the cars.
yeah, so it's a reliable system in the past on other vehicles, and
Absolutely.
right now it's doing great. But of course, like you said, you can't predict what's going to happen on a specific model, especially since it's a new variety or new power plant.
Absolutely.
5, 10, 15
Come back
years.
and ask me in 10 years.
Excellent. That'll be a question for episode 176. All right, let's go with another one here. Somebody needs your advice. I need your advice. That's why I said that. I bought my car with 113,000 miles and have no clue if they changed the transmission oil. Should I change it?
Did it say what the car is?
No, it just says I bought my car. So
Okay. Usually 100,000 miles and it's still within the range of, more than likely it's WS. Do you have a dipstick or not? By all means, don't attempt it yourself. We have too many people that bring their car in that they think all you have to do is take the plug out, drain it, and put new stuff on it. If it is WS, it's fairly difficult to change it. You need a computer. We need to do a very, very specific way of draining the car, filling it back up, bringing it up to temperature, make sure the fluid level is right. If it is WS, which I don't know that it is or not, as long as Toyota is concerned, it's called world standard, intended for life of the vehicle. Having said that, as a technician, I've seen on some of these cars where the fluid turns horrible black at 100K. And even though Toyota says don't change it, this is not Toyota's recommendation. This is just what I've seen. I recommend you change your fluid. And if you're not sure about it, have it done. If you're not sure that they have done it, $100, $200, whatever it is, it's something that makes you feel better about your car driving. Make sure something that was supposed to be done to get it in good health that you've done.
Okay, excellent advice. Now, this is about a specific vehicle. One of my favorite, we'll call it cult following vehicles here. Could be talking about the 4Runner, but I'm not. I'm talking about the FJ Cruiser. What are your feelings on buying a used FJ Cruiser? And they left it very generic, so we could be talking about an '07 and a 2014. Got a wide range there, but what's your experience on FJs?
FJs are super reliable. I'm not too crazy about the square boxy shape on them, but they're super reliable. FJ is what saved Toyota back in the day, where our quality was not where it is today, and people had to stop buying Toyota. FJ made us live through that, because at that time FJ was built so well, and I don't think FJ has ever stopped being built so well. So FJ is a great car. It's super reliable. If you like the shape of the car, that's a matter of taste. But if you're asking, is it a reliable car? Is it a good car? If it passes all the other hurdles on a used car, maintenance record, good tires, good brakes, have they done everything they were supposed to, you can absolutely make 250, 300,000 miles out of that car without any issues.
Yeah, actually, we've got one that comes into service. He's got it all decked out with a whole decking system. He travels all over the country, well over 300,000 miles, because we did a video on him. It's amazing, his vehicle, and he would sing the praises of just what a great vehicle it's been.
Super reliable car. Is Michael Anderson, our president of the Anderson Toyota. He has one, and I think it's up front, isn't it?
Yeah.
Or is it?
It has.
It's an old 70s, 80s Land Cruiser. It's one of those that saved Toyota. That's parked up front. I'm not also too crazy about all the white tops on it.
You don't like that?
Huh? It's a matter of taste, as I don't have necessarily good taste.
You know, that's the best thing about buying a vehicle, too, is you might love it and other people might go, ooh, but it doesn't matter because it's yours. You have to love it.
To me, the most important thing about a vehicle is this reliability. I like a boring vehicle. You get in it, you drive it, 10 years later, you have not put a whole bunch of money in it, and it's still running great.
Sounds like you're talking about a Camry or a Tacoma.
I love a Camry and a Tacoma. I own a Tacoma. Most of my family owns Camrys.
That's cool. I feel like Camry is one of the most dependable used vehicles that somebody could consider buying.
Yes, yes. It's a fantastic vehicle.
Yeah. All right. Well, that does it for this show. Toyota Car Care Talk, another one in the books. Ali, thanks so much for your words of wisdom. I hope it helps some people out there. And maybe it gave you some ideas for your questions. Leave a question, a comment, opinions, and we'll try to get your thoughts into a future episode. What questions do you have about your car, truck, and SUV? So, Ali, thanks so much. Everybody hit subscribe to our YouTube channel, and we're on Facebook and Instagram at Fred Anderson Toyota, and we would love to work with you here in Raleigh, North Carolina, whether it's servicing your car, researching a car, or buying a car. Thanks again so much. Everybody have a great week. Be safe and be good to each other.
You're welcome, Chip. Bye.
Thanks.